Hello and welcome to Forethought India's podcast. Today we have with us a very special guest, our speaker Jeremy Polgar, an animation director based out of Los Angeles, California. He will be speaking on basics of character animation. But before we start, I would like to present a brief bio about our speaker today. Jeremy completed his BA in animation with a minor in studio arts from Loyola Marymount University, Los Angeles, California in 2006. Since then, he has worked on multiple projects in a variety of capacities, such as animator, character designer, illustrator, storyboard artist, animation director, and so on. Some of which have been for Area 21, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon Animation, Warner Brothers Entertainment, and Netflix. Currently, he is animation supervisor for Marvel Entertainment's X-Men 97, which is scheduled to release in 2023. Welcome, Jeremy, and we are very pleased to have you with us today. The time is yours.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for that kind introduction too. So yeah, it is a little bit challenging to do a lecture without visuals, but I'm happy to share my thoughts with anyone interested in pursuing a career in animation. It's kind of what I would more likely, mostly like to focus on, I think. Um, so yeah, if okay, so I think the biggest thing in like getting into animation. I'm sorry I couldn't prepare a lecture for character animation. Too small of a time. So I did. I think best would be to share how to get into this. So um, yeah. So just to go over it, there are some jobs in animation, like storyboards, backgrounds, which includes painting backgrounds and doing layouts for backgrounds, and there's also character design, which is a more limited spot. Not as many people can do this, but it is still a position where you literally just design the characters that you see in the show. And there's also, of course, animation, which is for 2D or 3D animation. Uh, there are more jobs in 3D animation currently, but you can still find work with 2D animation. It doesn't pay as much, but or not. It pays well, but it is not as many jobs in 2D animation. And then there's also a job called that's in production, and the production people, they help with managing the whole production of a show or episode. They're kind of like wranglers. It's I say they're wrangling cats, because it's hard to wrangle an artist. They're kind of spacey people, and they all have like their own little ways of doing things, all a little quirky. Um, I'd say there's a couple ways to get started. Um, I recommend schools like, I mean, you can do it formal education or you can do online education. Um, for me, I would actually at this point more push for online education because you can keep it to like, if you do a full like a really long rigorous course, like where you learn like everything you need to learn, you can like probably end up spending about like anywhere between like $500 to like $10,000, but then that would be like it. Versus if you do go to a formal school like Cal Arts Art Center, Cal State Fullerton, or Loyola Marymount, which are all excellent schools with like amazing programs, you will still end up spending, it's like a psychotic amount of money. It's like, I think you probably end up with like over, probably close to like, it's over $100,000 in
Wow.
debt though by the time you're done with your 4 years, like well over that, and you can get grants, you can get scholarships. Of course, I would recommend that, but still, like, it's going to be difficult. Maybe could be different depending on like economic status too. You might be able to get more grants your way, but it would be something to consider. Um, Advantage of going to an educated, or excuse me, to getting a formal education is that I think that you find your identity as like a director or like a creative. It's nice to have a formal education. I would recommend doing a program that does provide like a BA or some type of liberal arts degree, just so you know, because writing is also something that will play a big part in your life all the time for anything you do. Um, but there's also ways of getting good at that too. So if you are just focused on like becoming an animator or extremely good draftsman, someone that can be reliable to do like to draw any background from like any angle for any theme and genre, then I recommend doing online school. The two schools I recommend going to are or looking into are Brainstorm Academy and Concept Design Academy, and those are both based in Los Angeles, but they are taught by professionals that are really amazing at their craft and are extremely good at lecturing. Um, so I really recommend those places. Yeah, and it's like I think it's like anywhere from like 200 or $300 like per course. And again, like if you wanted to do your own education there, you probably end up with the bill of like 10K at the most. The disadvantage of that is that you can't get like grants for that. So that would have to come out of pocket. Um, but I mean, yeah, it would be up to you to look at the school and see like what's good for you and see what works with the within like your budget too. You know, I would say like someone that's like a decent skill going into something like that, like an online school situation. I would say within 2 to 3 years max, I think that they should be good, like ready for work. And during the time that you are at school, if like you are showing promise and your professor's saying some nice things, maybe you can ask the professor if you're ready to start networking. And networking in Los Angeles, especially, this is like really big. This is how you get a lot of jobs here. You just it's not I think that is superficial. It's you know, it's usually you ask people that you already have a nice connection with, and you're just like, hey, like, is there like any work like happening at your studio, or like, hey, like I'm looking to like you know like I'm ready to start looking for work. Like, do you have any leads, or like can you like help put my name out there, or like can you give this portfolio to someone?
Right.
um it'd really be like nice, but it's good to start reaching out for connections. And you can even do connections through online, like if you have like an artist that is like established, but like maybe you started to like have a good rapport with, or something, then it's okay to ask them, maybe start with like asking for like advice if you're very new, you know do you think I have a chance at like working right now? And if they're like, yeah, you do, then you can follow up with like, hey, do you think, is there any way you can help me, or is there someone that you can help me get in touch with to kind of start looking? So you can also do this online through like social media and stuff too. But be polite and patient, and not everyone's going to help, but most of the time someone's going to help though, I think. you know um Especially if they see that you have promise in your work, they'll jump on it. They'll be very happy to help. I'm going to go back to the idea of like jobs in animation, because that's also very abstract. um so storyboarding. Storyboarding is one of the most difficult jobs you can do in this industry. It is You are setting the blueprint of and you're taking the script and translating that into hand-drawn panels that work sequentially to tell a story. So you're not just like doing like showing, like, it's not like a picture book. It's like you also are like doing key poses of what will be translated into animation. You will be uh, drawing rough backgrounds. You will be laying out the perspective to see like where the characters fall, like within space of the shot. You will be tasked with like how the shots connect with one another, and like how the characters like interact, and like you really have to learn and understand cinematic language to do this. And this will be at like varied degrees too. Like there's like some projects that require you to do something that's like really flat, right? And that's not bad. That's really cool, right? maybe something like Cartoon Network, um, and like, yeah, you might have like two characters that the direction is to like keep them like in the wide, and then maybe in the next shot they're like up close, maybe like one's like over here. It could keep them, it's flat, but you still have to understand like the fundamentals of cinematic language. Or like if you are into like action stuff, like Legend of Korra or like Avatar: The Last Airbender or Batman the Animated Series. Like those are very cinematic shows. Those you really have to have a good grasp of anatomy and perspective and just like telling a story uh, using like actual rules and principles that you would if you were behind a camera. So a lot of stuff to keep track of when you do storyboards. Storyboarding is very hard. I like doing it, and then I don't like doing it either. I like it when it's done. That's what I like. But it's a tough process, but it's also very gratifying. There's actually the most work in that, but it's also like high turnover rate, and people get worn out pretty hard too. Um, for people that are more inclined to just like, hey, I like to take my time and do like a nice drawing or like a nice painting. Um, can I can I just like do um, like backgrounds, and for that you have to be a really skilled artist to be a background designer on an animation production. You should know perspective, and you should know it even better than the storyboard artist, and you should be able to draw almost anything, or at least like pull up reference and be able to draw that and draw from like any angle. You should know how to be able to draw different textures and patterns, and like where to make it vague, and like where to like make it really detailed so that you can like really sell like atmospheric perspective and stuff like that. um, and so like that, there's two jobs for that. One is like the layout. They usually do a black and white image of like the final background, and then a painter, and the painter goes in there and they add color and textures and lighting, and it changes the whole mood once you add that color in there. And so both of those require really specific skill sets. um Again, like those you will probably maximize like how good you are by doing a school like online at like Brainstorm or Concept Design Academy, Brainstorm Academy, or Concept Design. Um, and then there's a character designer, and this is a bit more unique. I think for a character designer, I think the person already just has to have a natural talent for like drawing things that are appealing, and not just like are they appealing, but like can you actually turn the character three-dimensionally. Usually a lot of the job will require a person drawing characters from like 5 to 8 different angles, like just fully rotated on a page. Those are called turnaround pages, and the animators greatly rely on those designs to make the whole show look the same, right? That's how they keep it consistent. So yeah, if you want to do character design, know that like there's not that many. If we were looking at like a musical band, like there's usually one drummer in a band. So that's kind of like what the same ratio is for that job position. um, then there is of course animation, just where you actually are hand drawn stuff, and you're doing character acting. um, and this is a really fun and exciting part of work. The jobs vary a lot. I'd say like for me, like um, I really enjoyed doing this work. For the first part of my career, I started as a 2D character animator at Titmouse Animation back in 2007, and then stayed as an animator, 2D animator, until 2013. Yeah, that was about as long as I did that full time. It was really fun, but it was also very exhausting. But I'm glad I did it when I did it. Um, it ebbs and flows, this industry. So sometimes like there is like a big demand for like 2D animators in the States. um, but there's always going to be I think there's always going to be pretty good demand for this. You can usually do this on other, like from my perspective, international productions like France will have a lot of 2D animation at times. Japan and Korea is also like a place that's now starting to hire international animators. So it's pretty interesting. I actually think it's one of the more international positions you can have. And I'd say, like, as long as you can speak good enough English, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you speak some English just to be able to get notes or communicate an idea, if you need to, or just to see what's on the page, because there is notes, and that turns out to be the international language that most people default to. So if you can speak a little bit of English, this will help you with the international work too, with 2D if you pursue being a 2D animator. Most of those international jobs I'm describing for 2D animation, though, do require you to be extremely skilled animator, because they're usually like anime, like Japanese style, like animation level productions. Um, if you are doing 3D animation, you might end up working in like commercial, you might end up working in feature, you might end up working in video games. There's a lot of options that, or yeah, there's also even live action feature like VFX. There's a lot more options, and I think more jobs available for 3D animation. Um, this one I'm not so well versed in, since I don't have experience in it, but um, yeah, I think that the schools that I described might actually give you that. I would actually throw one more school in there called Gnomon, uh, and Gnomon is spelled Gnomen, and they've been around for a long time, and they're really amazing at teaching like 3D computer animation. So yeah, if you want to pursue that, I would recommend kind of starting there, checking it out, and that's also an online course. Um, and making your connections there and seeing like how those guys navigate that universe. So that's my very sped up general explanation of like how maybe one might want to like pursue animation, and yeah, I hope that's helpful for anyone that's like looking in there into it.
Yeah, thank you. I think it was a very insightful set of information that you have provided, and no issue with not having a specific talk on character in animation. It's fine, and I think, well, I have, me personally, I have no clue about this field, but it was very interesting because, of course, we consume and watch movies, cartoon, everything, right? Very interesting. And one last thing I want to ask is, since this would be for students in India, and probably most of them would not be able to go and study at the places you have mentioned. So, what advice do you have for anyone? Maybe one or two single advice, very important advice that you have for anyone going into this field.
Okay. They, sorry, just quick question about geopolitics. So, are they not able to access American websites?
Oh, websites they can access. Yeah, they have.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, but okay. So still, so just to be clear to everyone, do check out the websites I recommend. Then, if you have access to them, those should be open international, which is fantastic, right? But outside of that, what other advice can I give? Uh, I would start with maybe the Richard Williams book called Animator Survival. Was it Animator Survival Kit or Animator Survival Guide? Really incredible, super well broken down, descriptive like way of just how to do principles of animation. Unfortunately, that one is based more in an old school style of animation, so you would want to counterbalance that with like maybe studying things on a site called Sakuga Boro, Sakuga and that site is amazing because it's linked. What they do is like they get select clips from amazing Japanese animation productions, and even like keyframe animation too, so you can actually see the hand drawn stuff before it even gets colored and all that stuff. So you can start to see the process. I would study that stuff too, along with like the principles from Richard Williams' Animator's Survival Guide book. So that way you could kind of modernize your style and outlook and not get too stuck in one or two other schools. You need both. Um, Other thing too is that there are, and I don't know where to find them, but if anyone's like hip to Discord, like I know that there is like a Sakuga Discord, and those guys are pretty competitive, but also really supportive. And I've seen some really incredible people come from there. I knew a guy that didn't do any school and was just like, actually two people I've worked with that were young, and they were just on these Discord servers, and like they just like got incredible at animating. And then I started working with them in the industry. So if you have access to finding like the Sakuga like Discord server, maybe do research online to see like how to find it. I don't know, I never like pursued it, but that's also a good place to do that, is to find a really good um online community for that. I think that's probably key more than anything.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure this will be very helpful to anyone who accesses this meeting, this podcast, and very impressive. I think you have explained many technicalities, but more importantly, advice for the people who are accessing this, and I'm sure they will benefit from this. So thank you very much for your time, and uh, we hope to connect again in the future.
Amazing. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was my pleasure. And yeah, I wish everyone the best of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All
It
right.
was an honor.
Yeah, we can stop recording the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeremy, once again.
Yeah. Thank you. So was that like, so this is going to be a recording that someone can like access later and like
Yeah,
watch? And
so it will be on our website, Forethought India, and actually, yeah, it will be uploaded on the website and it will be accessible
amazing.
to all the people who have registered there. So it's mostly catering to students in India.
Amazing. Yeah.
Right.
Cool. And yeah, I've talked to a few guys from India too. So, like one of them successful, and then the other one found something pretty okay later. Yeah. But
Cool.
I know it's a tricky
Yeah.
place to branch out from,
Right.
but I know
Right.
it's possible. Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I know that you did a lot of work to get this started too. So I appreciate like how much you are grinding to make this happen and to pull people like me or just just all these other lecturers and stuff
Right. Right.
together. I know it's exhausting doing what you're doing. So thank you for giving your time and energy so to spread this knowledge to your peers. That's a big deal.
Welcome. You're
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right.
All
Uh,
right, man.
Good day then.
All right, cool. Have a good night. Hope you get a good rest later. All right.
You.
Good luck with everything. Bye.
Bye.